Good morning, gamers, and greetings to my fellow travelers. This is not going to be a sometimes I hate this game, but more of a public service announcement type thing. The title says it all. It's aimed probably more at console players than PC players. Back up your saved games. I'm assuming it's maybe less relevant to personal computer players because one does back up everything on one's computer on a regular basis, or should. Background. Thursday, I came home from work. I have, due to circumstances outside my control, been working half of my weeknights and half my weekdays. The fellow who normally works nights had a heart attack, so I don't fault him nor my employer for the situation, but it kind of blows. So before going to bed, I spent about an hour playing a little Call of Duty. No problem with the PlayStation 4. Go to bed, wake up, amble downstairs after having breakfast, and it won't start. I'll go and push a little button, the blue light comes on, and it does a fairly faint imitation Millennium Falcon when Han Solo throws the hyperdrive throttle forward instead of more like and nothing. Light turns white and then shuts off. Looked up a couple of YouTube videos, unplugged it from the TV downstairs, replugged it, changed outlets, changed this, changed that, nada. So, since stores were still open, I had woken up around 4 o'clock in the afternoon or thereabouts. I threw the PlayStation 4 in a backpack and ran over, well, walked briskly. To a electronics store not far from my place of work. Explained the situation to them. They tried it themselves, confirmed that it wasn't working. Opened a small rear panel on the PlayStation 4, which is a Pro, by the way, and took out the hard drive. Took out a hard drive from a box, basically unused hard drive. Slipped it in and booted up the machine. So obviously the power button and power connection and all that worked. So the end result was $250 later, and Friday midday, which is effectively my one day off, because Thursday's kind of wasted because you're spending half the day sleeping, then being awake and then sleeping, and you can't exactly devote a bunch of hours to any specific project. So Friday I go and collect the PlayStation just before noon, bring it home, and pretty much spent the entire weekend reinstalling all the games. Now, as we speak, it's either still reinstalling Tomb Raiders, the last two ones, or it has finished, which kind of brings us to the whole purpose of the video. A lot of the saves are gone. They did not upload the cloud. Either it isn't an option, or PlayStation Plus used to allow you to install one copy of PlayStation Plus on your PlayStation and use it for different profiles. Apparently, it's not allowing you to do that in as much as uploading and downloading saves for games. So in the case of, for example, No Man's Sky, Playmates World, where all my bases are named after ladies of the 80s and 90s, that's lost because short of me, and I probably will, spend $10 to get a monthly subscription to PlayStation Plus and download the saves from PlayStation, assuming they are there. It's just out of reach. Yes, I got the portal coordinates. Yes, I can use one of my other campaigns and go to visit the bases, but I can't edit them. I can't finish one or two of them that needed to be finished. So, in some cases, that's a little bit less bad than, let's say, Destiny 1 or Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn back when I transferred my saves from the 4 to the 5, I accidentally skipped the saves for my main profile on the PlayStation 4. Did not realize it, and in the intent of selling the PlayStation 4 at the store where I was getting the 5, uh, towards the cost of the 5, I'd wiped out the 4. Of course, turns out that the disc tray for CDs was defective. They could not buy it because they don't do, basic maintenance on the machines they buy. Well, I brought it home, figured, what the heck? I mean, hey, older games I can still play on it. And discovered at that point I did not have the saves for Horizon Zero Dawn on my main profile. And why did this hurt? Well, I played the entire campaign a few times, including Frozen Wilds. Had different loadouts for Aloy with maxed out mods. So a general purpose loadout where I'm just walking around. A loadout for acid, a loadout for arc, a loadout for fire, and with different armor to counter those same elements again. So not just offensive but defensive. A lot of work had gone into it, and that was just plain gone. One could argue it does give me something to look forward to and work again, but well, gosh. The second profile I actually had saved, and well, if I really want to play Aloy on easy and just kick the butt of everything I run into, I can. In the case of Destiny, I am really hoping that that's a case of if I buy PlayStation Plus for the second profile for 1 month and then cancel the subscription, I can download the saves. 3 characters, quite a few things in the vault, not nearly as much as in Destiny 2, but at least 4 weapons of each category on the character, at least 4 sets of armor, and generally somewhat worked out. Destiny 1 had a lot less mods than Destiny 2, so in some ways a little bit more predictable. Strike armor, crucible armor, general walking around armor, and this one's just good looking armor type thing. The one that I would use for raids and but yeah, that might be lost, and we're talking years of work. Because hey, when you're grinding in Destiny, it is work. That's more or less where we're at. So the lesson learned here is save your games, USB stick and either back it up on a computer or something. Maybe every 3 months, every 6 months, maybe even every year. Because right now, I have a USB stick somewhere in the drawer that may or may not have the saves from the time I transferred from the 4 to the 5. For those games I've not been able to download the saves for whatever reason, I may be able to restore. Emphasis on maybe. I'm not holding my breath, and either way, it'd still be from 2.5, 3 years ago. Not great. Now, we did talk about Horizon Zero Dawn, and I'm going to take advantage of this situation to talk about power creep in games. The original Horizon Zero Dawn. Suspense of disbelief, of course, that you're taking out a combat machine the size of a T-Rex armed with mortars and machine guns and autocannons with bow and arrow. The possibility is if Aestus has powered these weapons down tremendously in order to either protect the environment or protect the fauna and flora, and maybe just not kill the humans, but injure them or frighten them badly, because the mortar with the floating shells with the laser projector, I mean, I'm sorry, I just make it mortar shells, go for saturation bombardment, half a dozen 81mm or 82mm shells landing in the space that would covered average house would wipe out Aloy, and no matter what armor she's wearing, short of the 21st century high tech power armor. Having said that, there is a certain progression within the game. As you go into the Karja Sundom and encounter more dangerous creatures, you get a few mods, you get weapons that have an additional mod slot. It kind of works out. And besides, the story's great. Then you get the Horizon Zero Dawn Frozen Wilds DLC, and this is where things start going wonky. And don't mistake me. I thought the story was brilliant. I enjoyed it. Felt horrible for Cyan. But I'm sorry. The teddy bears, roughly somewhere between the Sabertooth and a T-Rex in size, the first one you meet, and about moving as fast as a watcher, and so you gotta ask yourself, what the heck? And this goes to my fellow gamers complaining to game developers, it's too easy, I don't feel challenged. Humbug. And of course, by the end of the story, you deal with the ones that throw magma around. They throw magma at a range far greater than bow shots. There is no explanation in game as to how either they generate magma or pull it out of the ground. I mean, I realize it's Yellowstone, but if you start wrecking the caldera, you might just find yourself in a bigger problem than a few humans killing machines if you're Hephaestus. So it's not just the power of the machine is going up like this, it suddenly goes like that. It's exponential instead of gradual. Completely ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, though, the mods are great, and the stories to get the mods are fun. But it's an absurd situation. And I'll give you a Destiny example of how this does not make sense. Back in D1, before the Nightfall had the option of selecting different options to either make the Nightfall more or less difficult, a friend of mine bemoaned the fact that, oh, you want to do the Nightfall, it's boring, it's so easy, nah. So well, let me have a look at your character. And of course, this person's character was maxed out, geared specifically towards, my friend's gameplay, weapons, everything. It's like, okay, well, I dare you to replace all those wonderful legendary pieces of armor with blue armor. My friend starts laughing. It's like, I'll do one better. I'll put on white armor. We materialize in the Nightfall, and my friend dies. I wait 15 seconds while I'm desperately trying to survive on my own. Put up a wall. I believe I was playing a Titan. Revive my friend. Takes one step out from behind the wall, dies. After this happened a few times, my friend said, okay, you made your point. Well, look, just go back to your legendary armor. Just don't bitch to me about how easy it is. I'll keep wearing the white helmet, which of course brought my friend's power level down a good 50 or 70 points. We were both, 40th level, 400 power points. Yeah, by today's standards, 400 power points is a joke. And my friend struggled through the rest of the Nightfall. Would get hit a couple times, hide behind me, hide behind a rock, hide behind something, just to bring their health back. So, yeah, for those people who bitterly complain that, oh, games are too easy, it's not challenging anymore. Yeah, leave the rest of us the heck alone and just go into a mission using either weapons you don't like, weapons from last year, so they're not as tricked out. Or hey, just pull out the old armor set and the old guns from the game from 2 years ago out of whatever cache or vault you have, and be challenged. Because it's one thing that's been a major turnoff in Destiny. At this point, I've pretty much effectively stopped playing Destiny 2. Is the fact that every season your gear pretty much becomes obsolete because there are new powers introduced, there are new mods introduced, and sometimes they just rework the entire mod system. So you go from 3 to 4 to 5 mod slots. And of course, if you're using the armor from last year or the year before, especially in multiplayer in Crucible, you are hopelessly outgunned. So having said that, I really need to cut this short so I can upload it and go to work. So have a good day. Take care.